Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new here. My name is Quillen, but you already know that, don't you? Today I want to talk about AI again. I'm sorry. It's only the second time, but it won't be the last time. I've been playing with it a lot, guys. I've got three technologies that I'm using a lot. So stable diffusion, which is like image generation. I've been using text generators, like ChatGPT and the like. And then also there's a company called 11 Labs that has like AI voice generation and simulation. And I am starting to view these three technologies as sort of a triune of very powerful tools for world building. I think it's an incredible technology. So today I don't want to. This is not about economic implications. You'll notice this is a theme in my channel that I want to help you as an individual try to harness the benefit of the factors at play in the world, even if they're very dangerous potentially. And they are, okay, so I don't want to deny that. I don't want to, deny the existence of a whole bunch of economic discussions that have to happen about AI. But I think there's a point that people are missing here, or most people are. I see a lot of people who I think their impulse is to boycott AI or reject it. This is kind of like the Luddites of the world. On the industrial side, they see it as an existential threat, especially if you're very specialized. This is a feeling that people have that it's coming for their job, right? So in some capacity, regardless of how specialized, how well educated you are, how difficult it is to do what you do intellectually, and this is very much a problem for intellectuals rather than physical laborers or even like artisans. If you make most of your money using your mind, then there's a sense in which the AI is coming for your job. Now, it might or might not be. I'm not really sure. Not really that fussed. I don't feel like I have to have an opinion on that just yet. But this is one school of thought, and I think it's quite a prevalent school of thought. So I want to touch on the humanistic implications of what is going on here, and how you can possibly transmute your thinking in a more positive way if this is like a fear that you have. I think this existential dread is coming from a place of a cultural assumption about who and what you are. And the assumption goes a little bit like this. You are a cog in a machine, and you are fearing now that you're no longer the most efficient cog that there could be. And so in some sense, just out of sheer pragmatism, you are going to be removed from the machine. A more efficient cog is going to replace you. And then presumably you are going to be discarded, right? And this is why it tends to become an economic, political argument fairly quickly about why we should or should not stand for this like AI thing. But what I want you to realize is that you're not a cog. And I know this sounds obvious. I'm sorry if it sounds trite. Like you're probably thinking, well, I know I'm not a cog, damn it. But you're really not. You're a human being. You're a creative force. And what I've discovered from really exploring the AI tools that are presently at my disposal and therefore your disposal. These are not very expensive at the moment. Maybe they will be, maybe they won't be. As a human being, you don't only have to be a cog, you can also build machines, right? We're building machines all the time, and we're building the machines that are replacing us. But it's people we don't know who are building the machines, I guess, and we're not going to see any of the money for that. But we can build our own machines, okay? All of those efficient cogs that are perhaps one day going to replace you are at least to some degree available to you now. And they're available to me now. And what I am discovering is that it's very, very cool to have all of these cogs. And it's very, very cool the kind of machines that you can build. Now, the challenge then is to break out of the mentality that what you are is a cog, okay? Because we're all in that boat. We really are, okay? I'm a musician, right? Among other things. That's why the Age of the Renaissance Man thing is coming, spoiler alert. Is it fair to say that at some point a machine will be able to make music just as visceral, enjoyable, etc. as anything I could make? It's possible. I don't reject the possibility of that. But what I really am primarily is not a musician. I'm a human being, okay? No matter how many guitars I have, no matter how much of my time I spend making music, at a spiritual level, there is you can have this opinion as someone with a totally secular perspective. You know, I'm on this earth on a trajectory of personal development and insight that goes beyond my capacities as a musician. If you were to take my music away from me completely, I'm very confident that I would discover other interesting avenues of introspection and personal growth. And by the same token, because I am a musician who is not profitable, I can say this with confidence, that if you took my ability to make money with my music away, that would not preclude or prohibit me from continuing to make music and explore my introspective pathway in that direction anyway. But here's the cool part. Even if there's an AI there, what I'm learning, and you'll learn this too if you really get in deep with the AI, is that that it only does what it's told. Okay? Now let's have a look at what that means. That means that if you have someone who is creatively derelict, if you have someone with no inspiration whatsoever telling the AI what to do, they will reliably get uninspired outputs from that AI, okay? You cannot violate the spiritual rule that you only get out what you put in, all right? Now, technology allows you to magnify the output. So you can put in a particular idea that has potential, and it will accelerate the potential hugely, okay? But if you have no respect for the creative process, you will get a shit output. And that's something that the technology simply can't fix, right? And that's true. I can't quantify it for you, but what I would say is go and try this stuff for yourself and really pay attention. Am I thinking or am I not thinking? And then how good is the output? The more you think, the better the output is. And you will find that actually the more you play with it, the more you are encouraged to think and the more you are encouraged to critically evaluate what the nature of the interaction is between you and the AI. And the more you do that, the better and better the outputs become. And the more and more, if you showed it to someone, they would go, wow, this is a stunning output. This is a really interesting thing that you have produced in conjunction with the technology. So the way I look at it, it's not violating any kind of laws of creative thermodynamics. It's empowering, but it is not a cure-all. It doesn't negate the necessity for creativity, and it also doesn't negate the necessity for critical engagement, which is why I'm very confident that as corporations begin to integrate AI tools and AI engines into their systems, they will increasingly be an avenue of job creation for what I would essentially characterize as AI shamans, people who know how to get the most out of the machine and know how to be an intermediary between the two worlds. Okay, because I just want to repeat that if all you want to do is profit and you're not invested in any kind of creative output, like if you're just not a creative person, you're still going to have to bring in a creative person to actually do anything interesting with these tools, no matter how powerful they become. That's the way I see it, okay? So then the question becomes, well, who needs the company then, right? If you can buy the AI straight from the people who are making it, which you can, right? Then you can start to do your own things. And this is where I'm very excited by the principle that seems to be manifesting here. We no longer are in a position where we only have so much time in the day. You would have heard this expression, busy people. It's a classic restraint of the human condition. We only have so much time in a day. We only have so much education. We only have so many skills. We only have so much ability to verify the information that we're receiving from the world. We're fundamentally very limited. And historically, the only way that we've been able to ameliorate or mitigate that limitation is by bringing other people in, okay? Either by creating a subculture or like a tribe, or more often having a company where we pay people to expand out the breadth of our empire building capacity. And in exchange, we pay them, okay? So then that creates an existential necessity to profiteer relentlessly, right? Because even if our primary goal is not profit, in order to do anything of any great significance or magnitude, we still have to pay a bunch of people, so then it kind of becomes about the money, right? And this is a little bit of a cliche thing. Okay. Dude, AI, well, it does cost, it doesn't cost nearly as much as you would have to pay a human being to do the same thing, which is where the economic existential insecurity is coming from. But as an artist, this is a fucking huge deal in terms of what you can actually get done, especially if you are a Renaissance man, quote unquote, like me, right? Am I a musician? Not primarily. I have all this shit around, but I got a lot of stuff on my mind. I don't know if you can tell, right? There's a lot going on up here. And I'll bet you if you're like anything like me, there's a lot going on as well for you. And you're probably familiar with this terrible feeling like you have one good idea and you know that in the time it's going to take you to execute that one good idea, 10 more good ideas are going to come into your head. And then it's like, what the fuck am I going to do about all of these ideas? Am I just going to discard them in some graveyard? Am I going to try and profiteer so that I can pay people to make all these ideas happen for me? What am I going to do about all of this, right? You have this expansive field of potential that is extending out in front of you, and you feel as a human being a spiritual instinct to self-actualize in all these directions, and you only have so much time in a day, so you stretch thinner and thinner and thinner. Dude, AI can solve this problem for you, okay? For you personally, again, do not make this about the economy. Do not make this about the political system. Please, if you are really dedicated to self-actualizing, don't boycott. And don't, okay, if you're a profiteer, well, you're probably not this far into the video anyway. You're off grind setting or whatever the fuck. But it doesn't have to be about profiting, okay? You can just recognize that, if you are a graphic artist, okay, maybe the AI is coming for you, right? In that capacity, but that's not all you are, is it? Don't you want to do other things? What if you wanted to write a book, but you just can't find the time, or you don't have the skills, you're not like a writer? Well, do you have an idea of what you would want the book to be about, right? Tell that to an AI. Just talk to an AI. Realize that you suck at talking to AI. Okay, that's a skill issue, all right? Which is why we need AI literacy to be coming up in the education system soon, okay? Figure out how to tell the AI what you really want. Read it back, okay? It's going to give you heaps of output. And you're going to look at it and you're going to go, holy shit, that's going to be your first instinct. Your first reaction is like, whoa. I just got a lot of output for cheap, right? You're going to read it. It's going to be bad in some important ways. Like it's not going to be something you're very happy with in X, Y, or Z way. Now, this is where you get to the next level of AI literacy. How do I get it to correct what I like about it without it just changing the whole thing, right? Doable. As the technology progresses, it will only get more and more doable. But you have to be progressing your skill set alongside it, okay? Now, well, maybe I'm not really just a graphic artist who the AI is going to steal the job of. I'm also a novelist now, right? And you're not a novelist. You will, again, if you have ideas for a novel, you're a novelist waiting to happen. It can help you make those fucking ideas happen. For real. Like, it won't be not you, okay? Again, there are soulless corporate AI projects, right? Where it is just like a robotic recounting of some bullshit. There's YouTube channels much more successful than my YouTube channels out there doing that, okay? I acknowledge that. But it's not good, right? It's not good art. And again, the Luddite instinct is like, yes, all AI art is garbage and it's just taking up all the space on the feed, and I'm here like with my little sketchbook and I'm just like the only real artist left in the universe. Dude, fuck that attitude, man, because the power, the chicken just outside my window, the power you're leaving on the table is the power that could save you from that feeling you have like there's just too many ideas coming out and you can't get it all out there. You can get it all out there, right? Like, you know, this is where it's a Renaissance man thing. You know, when you read a Wikipedia page of someone and it says they were a playwright and doctor and they invented something and they did this and they did that and they did that and they did that, and the list just keeps going and going, and you think, holy shit, like how could they possibly have done that? You could be that person, right? You really, in like a true and meaningful sense, could be that person. There's absolutely nothing stopping you right now with where the technology is at from beginning to become so much more than a specialist, really, and so much more than a generalist. Truly becoming a Renaissance man, right? And really like and I know, yeah, Renaissance person, to be politically correct, I understand that, but I'm just conjuring that. I'm trying to evoke that, you know, image. The extension of this is you could become like a simulated polymath. You could become effectively really fucking good at a bunch of things, right? You could make discoveries even, okay? Now I know that's like a whole other level, but like, you know, I was thinking about philosophy, right? It's like there's whole new levels of art being opened up here. Let's say you want to learn about philosophy, right? Right now, this is going to get into an important point about epistemology too. If you have if you're in the current paradigm of how to learn about philosophy, right? You can read a Wikipedia page, and that'll give you something. You could read the work of the philosopher. That'll give you something. But actually, even reading the work, right, like straight from the horse's mouth, quote unquote, is not going to give you like a detailed breakdown of what you really need to know about that philosopher, because there's the degree to it, like that you have to understand not just the work, but the critique. Like, what does the culture think that this philosopher means? What, reading between the lines, what do we think about this philosopher? In their historical context, what did the philosopher mean? And what does the ideas of the philosopher mean now in a contemporary context, moved over here, right? So what do you do about that? Well, you could just take a bunch of time, right? You could spend the remainder of your, your weeks, months. You could spend a huge portion of your life like pouring through all the data and effectively becoming an academic, like hyper specialized in Immanuel Kant or whatever philosopher. Or you could read the Wikipedia page and just go, like, fuck it, I guess I get the gist of it, right? Which you don't. I'm going to tell you that for real. You probably should read at least some of the philosopher, but definitely don't just go off what the Wikipedia page says they think about shit, because you'll just get the buzzword bullshit version. But with an AI, right, as it gets better and better, you will be able to literally get the most balanced perspective about a philosopher that you've ever been able to get in all of human history, right? Now, again, this opens up, people get scared here, right? Because you have to understand the types of questions that you want to ask this thing. You don't want to ask it questions like, who should I vote for, right? Who's the enemy? These are not the questions that you want to ask, but questions that have traceable answers, okay? Like in the way you Google search, right? Like how much protein is in an egg, for example, okay? You can get reliable answers to questions that are more complicated than that from an AI. And then if you're really critically thinking, and we'll talk about actual critical thinking, what that is in another video, you can quiz the AI, like, how sure are you? You can't do that on Wikipedia. You can't be like, how sure are you? You can look at a bunch of footnotes and citations and blah, 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 blah. But you can't interact with the thing that is producing the information because it was produced in the past by a human being. And they're not going to answer your emails, okay? You got no fucking idea who wrote the Wikipedia page. It's a thingo by committee, right? A camel by committee. It solves that problem. Do you understand what a big fucking deal that is? Like, ignorance is such a big problem. And you know, there are certain people who like pretend that ignorance is a choice, but ignorance is not a choice. Ignorance is a fact of life that's produced by this idea that we only have so much time in the day, right? And so to some degree, ignorance will always be a mainstay of the human condition, but you can mitigate it so much by asking the right questions to the right artificial intelligence that is plugged into the right informational networks. Okay, so, and this is something Jaron Lanier, I'll put his name up, talked about this a long time ago. And again, you know, all right, I agree with him on some things, disagree with him on others. But he talked about that in the context of the internet, that a long time ago, you know, when the internet was basically, the architecture of it was being designed, they had to make a hard decision, which was like, is a hyperlink going to be traceable back through the network? In other words, is there going to be metadata that allows you to, if like something, there's a claim or an excerpt or something, it's like, where did that come from? Like a network that goes all the way back to the source for everything. But they decided not to do that. And as a consequence, they saved a lot of data. There was a lot of efficiency saved, but there was a meaningful trade-off there, right? Now, what I just said there, okay, it's going to be hard for you to fact check that right now, but it could be wrong. But the more AI you understand how to use it, the easier it will be for you to fact check things like this. You see what I mean? It's unambiguous, right? Did X, Y, or Z say this or not? When did they say it? Where did they say it, right? Okay, so that's huge. That's huge. You can write a book by typing out a few lines onto a piece of paper, and that book will be good if the idea is good and you have the ability to tell the AI why it's not good. So, like a true Renaissance man, if you are a person of taste, if you have intelligence, if you have the balls to dream big, you will be rewarded a gajillion fold. And if all you have in your heart is corporate soulless bullshit energy, then you will get the karmic slapback of just being another shitty AI mass manufacturer, right? So people with good ideas will continue to rise to the top, in my opinion. And again, I'm not talking about necessarily in a corporate sense. I'm not saying they're going to get the richest or even be the most popular. It's just that when someone engages with that work of art, like you're engaging with this video now, hopefully, then the person who's engaging with it will be like, oh, fuck, this is good. This is better than all that other bullshit, right? And you, as a creative, as a spiritual being on a trajectory of personal development, will finally be relieved of this feeling like you never will be able to do everything that you want to do creatively. We're transitioning into a phase now where the creative potential of human beings is nearly unlimited, and it just becomes about how good are you at thinking and interacting with the tools that can allow you to manifest your potential, right? So again, you know, that's huge. It's a quantum leap forward in terms of this kind of fantasy that human beings have, of an almost godlike ability to just make things happen instantly. Like, I want it to be this way and that way, and just change that and just, and then it just happens. We can do that, and we can do that with a lot of stuff right now. Okay, so for your own sake, and I know I'm like rabbiting on, repeating myself here, fuck all the cynicism. Just get it out of your head. Like, see the fucking magic that's right in front of you and play with it. And be like, I'm bad at this. I don't get this. Okay, and just be okay with that. And because I promise you, if you really mess with AI, you realize it's not just some autopilot. You can't just like, yeah, okay, you can do job applications or whatever. My friend had a good joke today, because he was in this meeting with someone, and this person was warning the room about how when you're going through job applications, you know, be careful, because a lot of people it's just going to be like a ChatGPT AI generated job application or resume or whatever, right? Yeah, but everyone has always hated resumes. They've always realized that it's a fucking joke, right? So what's the issue, you know? And my friend made the joke. He was like, yeah, well, I think it's a good sign if you've AI generated your job application, because it means you're not a time waster. You're telling me you're not willing to waste your fucking time on that. And honestly, I can't even argue with that, okay? There is an art form of a good job application, and you can create a very compelling job application without an AI. And if it's really fucking good, hopefully it shines through for the people who actually want to give you that job. But you can also make a really fucking good job application using an AI while still creatively engaging with it and giving it the data inputs that it actually needs, okay? That's a skill set. That's a new skill set. It's not a skill set that has ever existed before. Again, tangentially, there is a tangential skill set that has existed in the corporate world, which they would call delegating, which is like giving people jobs and like giving them enough information that they can go out and do the busy work that you are unwilling or unable to do. Delegation. This is kind of like that, but it's actually really a whole other level, because it's a very personal thing. It's not a company, it's not a corporation. It doesn't have to be about profiteering unless you make it about profiteering. And this is a dream come true for artists. It really is. Okay, so yeah, I talked about the epistemology thing. I think that's huge. That might be everything I want to say about it. I hope so. I hope you enjoyed the video, and really just like go play with it, man. ChatGPT, 11 Labs, any of the like image generation stuff, like really work on your vision. Even the music one, I can't remember what it's called now because I haven't messed with it that much, but just find out what tools are available, find out what it's going to cost you to play with them. You'd be surprised how cheap a lot of it is. And don't be scared, right? There's one final thing, because it's people talk about like it's a crisis. Okay, now, I had a fun little journey on this because there's a thing called etymonline, etymonline.com, and you can just look at where words came from, right? So crisis here, coming from Latinized form of Greek, crisis meaning a turning point in a disease, that change which indicates recovery or death. Vitally important or decisive state of things, point at which change must come for better or worse. And then here's an interesting one, transferred non-medical sense in 1620s, a German term for midlife crisis, literally shut door panic, fear of being on the wrong side of a closing gate. That fear of being on the wrong side of a closing gate really jumped out at me. And JFK had this thing in the 60s, where he had this line about the Chinese word for crisis being, one character meaning danger, one, I'll put it up on the screen, character meaning danger, one meaning opportunity. But that, I looked up at that on Wikipedia, that's a total misunderstanding, mistranslation, right? And this whole thing of like everyone's misinformed, how do we there's too much information to keep track of. AI is making this worse in a way, but it's also making it better. The fact that everyone's got this like ADHD brain and there's too many ideas, too much going on. If you harness this properly, you can actually start to fix some of these problems for yourself, right? Again, forget about society, forget about the economy. Take your mental wellness and spiritual trajectory into your own hands and see the value of the tools that are being made available to you. Because yes, it is a crisis, it is a turning point, it is a door shutting. It's all of those things, but you can make the most of it. And I really encourage you to do that and just like have fun with it, man. That is the golden rule, right? Of the modern age. I mean, I know it wasn't the classical golden rule. But seriously, if you're having fun with it, like you're so set. It's very hard to go wrong, and it's very hard not to live an interesting and productive life. So, okay, that's all I want to say about it. I know it's a rant, but it's slightly shorter than the last rant. I send you my love. If you're still watching this, do me a favor, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button, because I probably will make an AI generated channel and I'm going to be depressed if it's literally doing better than this one. I send you my love and I'll talk to you next time.